report a kid trapped on the second floor. Companies are inside now, knocking down a fire, searching for the children. I realize that I'm going to have somebody's life in my hands, and I'm doing my best to make sure that I won't disappoint anybody when I get out there.
Laura, we're going to take you over to Frankfurt Hospital, all right?
The adrenaline starts flowing because you never know what you're going to have when you go out.
You can really get hurt, mentally and physically. You come across a lot of pain. The dying, the families of the dying, the families of the dead.
Bang 8 radio. Arriving on location, Expert 72, report.
Fire is made possible by viewers like you.
Raise the flag. Raise the flag. And salute.
In the fire department, on the fire ground, which is a very dynamic situation, always changing, officers who are controlling the situation don't have time to discuss what is the best course of action.
Today we're going to show them why the fire department is the crown jewel of the 10 operating departments.
And with a paramilitary organization, from the lowest rank to the highest rank, of which we all give and take orders, it allows us to assume that any order giving is going to be obeyed exactly the way it should be.
About face! Move out! 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17.
I try to understand what they're going through. This is a culture shock for a lot of them, but also I try to make them understand that these rules and regulations are in for a good reason and they've been time tested, and that they have to conform to us, and we are not going to conform to them.
All right, gentlemen, we are prepared for this quiz today, aren't we? Okay. You have about 20 minutes to have it completed.
I think it's a pretty rigorous schedule. I mean, as far as academics are concerned. I mean, there's so much you have to retain in so little time.
It is absolutely the worst sin that you could ever do in the fire department, especially when you're a new recruit, to show up late. I'm not being tough on them because I just want to be tough on them. I'm tough on them because I realize what can happen to them once they get out in the field, and they have to learn. And it's not like when they make a mistake out in the rest of the world, it's a mistake and it's forgiven. Out here, if they make a mistake, they can hurt themselves or somebody else. In the beginning, yes, we have a lot of recruits that take their buttons off their shirt going up that ladder. And the proper way to climb a ladder is at arm's length. And you can see, as you watch them, each day their confidence builds to the point that towards the end of the 9-week instruction period, these guys will be climbing ladders like naturals. They'll be like monkeys in a tree.
That's perfect, Mr. Brown. That's perfect. That's perfect. Turn this hand, and I want this hand on top. Other than that, you'll break your thumb, okay? Now, I don't want you to push in on anybody. This is perfect position. Gentlemen, I want you to do this as though their lives depended on it, because it does. Okay, you understand this? Yes, sir. Because you are going to be medically trained for emergency medical procedures. 90% of the public is not.
I realize that I'm going to have somebody's life in my hands, and I'm doing my best to make sure that I won't disappoint anybody when I get out there, which I know I won't.
Come on, Captain. I'm gonna use this. Hey, if they get my name wrong, you might have a good chance. Captain, I don't want to prove you wrong, but always a first. Let me tell you the 2 rules, okay? That we go by the captain. Captain's never wrong. Rule 1, the captain is always right. Rule 2, when the captain is wrong, refer to Rule 1.
Well, I've always wanted to be a firefighter, and ever since I was 9 years old, I just believe that.
Yeah, I think it's in my blood. I think if I didn't go in, they might disown me from the family, possibly.
I first became a firefighter, truthfully, because my father wanted me to become one. My father spent 34 years in this department, and he actually even filled out the application for me. But I'm sure glad that he did.
Don't stand there and
just let your hands do it. It don't do anybody any good. Hold the line for him and get behind him.
That's off about 3 seconds.
Right now they're using a fog pattern as compared to a straight stream. Fog patterns break down into steam, and steam is what puts the fires out because steam absorbs more BTUs than water. We try to instill aggressiveness in firefighters. We want them to be aggressive. The job requires that they be aggressive, but they have to control that aggressiveness, not let that aggressiveness control them. Otherwise, they're going to get hurt. And if they get hurt, they're not doing anybody a darn bit of good.
Very hot. It was very hot. I ingested a little bit of smoke, but other than that, it was a bit exciting. That's it.
Can I go out this way?
Do you feel comfortable?
Yeah.
Go easy. All right? You did pretty good last time. Go easy. All right. Turn around. Get feet on the wall, Steve. That's it, man. Put your hand down under your butt.
We try to foster camaraderie. This job is like no other job in the world. These guys right now will form friendships that will last a career.
Stop a little.
Don't lead off with your face.
You miss being in the field?
At times, yeah. A lot. A lot. This isn't forever for me. It's nice for a change, and I appreciate the different aspect of the fire department, but my true love is firefighting, and I hope to give somebody else a shot teaching and let me go back into the field when my time's done in a couple of years. That's it, for God's sake. This is supposed to be fun, fellas.
We're going to 22nd and Birch. They have a 3-story dwelling, occupied, people trapped, heavy fire first floor. They just upgraded from a tactical phone box to a full box. They're adding 2 more engines and a cheap one right now. Progress report they gave, the fire was extending in the rear. It's going down the backs now. It's also extended to the 2nd floor.
That's probably more appropriate to call us an emergency organization as opposed to a fire department, because we do a lot more things other than fight fires. We handle all emergencies, you name it, we go to it, we handle it, we're trained to do that.
I always looked up to him when I was younger, being a fireman. I know what he went through all these years.
I started as a firefighter back in 1959 in a very busy engine company in Southwest Philadelphia, and worked in an engine company. They're the ones responsible to stretch the hose and get the water and put out the fire. The ladder company puts the ladders up, effects rescues, does ventilation, does overhaul, etc.
He never tried to coax us. We have 7 children in our family. Never tried to coax us into going into the job. I kind of backed into it. I was in the Marine Corps when I came out. I was working odd jobs here and there, and just decided to take the test with my brother. Excuse me.
It's a dangerous job, there's no question about that. It came a little closer several years ago when my son was a comparatively new firefighter. He was trapped in the basement of a burning building and was severely injured over it, and came very close to dying in there. And I guess you think about it a little bit more, but you're concerned, but I don't think that concern is foremost in your mind. You're more concerned for the people that you work with and the people who you're protecting.
It was great growing up around someone that's been in the job all this time, and he's worked his way up, and I'm more than proud of being a fireman, and being under his command is even a special thrill.
We're going to 22nd and Berks. They have a 3-story dwelling, occupied, people trapped, heavy fire first floor. First and third engines take the front, second and fourth take the rear. First in chief's the front, second in chief's in the rear. This place is going pretty good right now.
Yo, we got a gate there.
All right, they got a report of people trapped. Report of kids trapped on the second floor. Companies are inside now, knocking down a fire, searching for the children. Companies are in here, checking for children. They're ventilating. Trying to find any children there right now. Supposedly, they said somebody was in this room. They said second floor rear.
Wait a minute. Hey, go ahead. Billy, ready? Go ahead, Billy. What's been going? What's on the last?
The Philadelphia Fire Department is equipped to deal with serious automobile accidents where people may be trapped. In the past, it might have taken 45 to 60 minutes to free a person with hand tools. Nowadays, with the jaws of life, it may only take 5, 10, or 15 minutes, which may mean the difference between life and death for that person. This type of situation, if there's a person inside that can't be removed easily, we take in the cutters and we cut in corners of the front door. And then we want to take the front windshield out, so that'll give us more room for paramedics or EMTs to treat a person. Then we come around with the jaws of life itself. And what we do is pop, what we call pop the door. After we've done that, we'll take the power ram, hook up chains in some fashion. We'll use it to pull. This will peel the roof back, and we'll have plenty of room to get a patient out without disturbing them if they have serious injuries.
How does working on an accident affect you?
Well, most of us, I'd say, we're used to it. It's our job. It's at the time, you don't really think of it. You're thinking of rescuing a person, getting the person out of there, and helping that person. It may affect you quite a bit later, yes, when you start thinking about it.
Report of kids trapped on the second floor. Companies are inside now, knocking down a fire, searching for the children. Battalion 8. All right, good. We also have a company coming up. We got a ladder on the third floor stairs. They're coming up right now.
Just like what you're standing.
Okay, right now the men are overhauling. They're opening walls and ceilings. They're checking for any hidden fire right now. All the main body fires have been knocked down both floors. They've already searched once. They're searching again. So far, they found no one. As you can see, it consumed the whole second and third floor here. Now, we had a report of children trapped in the second floor rear. The men came in the back windows off of ladders. We found no one. A lot of times, you really got to search carefully. These kids, they crawl in closets, things like that. It's winding down right now. Very shortly, it'll be 1 and 1. During the fire, you heard numerous reports, people trapped, people trapped. The men were going throughout the building, searching, extending themselves, and it turned out to be false. Here they were safe the whole time.
Speedbird 215 heavy, turn right heading to 090, contact approach on 127.35.
This is the Philadelphia International Tower, and we're one of the major airports in the eastern region of the United States. Our traffic total on a daily basis is approximately 1,200 arrivals and departures throughout the day. It is the busiest airport in the eastern region.
When we do come out the door for the actual crash, it's going to be something that's going to take a long, long time for any of us to ever get over. The situations we'd be faced with here, we train for, but it's really something that none of us want to see. The aircraft fuselage integrity, when it's involved in a ground fire surrounding the fuselage, is it can withstand penetration for approximately 90 seconds. So our base concern is to control, if not extinguish, the fire within that 90-second time frame.
Generally, when there is a problem with an aircraft in the Philadelphia airspace, is the pilot will notify the air traffic controller who is working that aircraft and notify the controller that he's having a problem. And then the tower supervisor will then make the determination to call out the emergency equipment. He'll pick up the telephone, which immediately signifies the Engine 78, the fire department, in their headquarters down below us here.
We had a training fire, and it contained pit under basically controlled conditions or circumstances that involved approximately 200 gallons of fuel. Once you get outside of the small general aviation aircraft, we'll be dealing with incidents that's 50 times, 100 times that much fuel. We want to test our confidence in our equipment, which is very important to us.
If there's a type of fire that's inside the airport grounds, we're responsible for. Automobile, luggage area, ramp area, fuel spills. We can go out 10 times a day on a fuel spill. Not that there are 10 fuel spills a day, but that's part of our responsibilities.
We do specific standbys for VIPs. Part of our responsibility is to come out. We take predetermined standby positions along the runways. We come over and we set up a tactical command post in conjunction with the airport police and Secret Service. We have the VIP motorcade that's always going to be here, the press that would be associated with any of the transports. Naturally, our fire vehicles that come and stand by in a command position or command post at the airport police and off-field specialized police units.
We address medical emergencies on the airport, whether it's on an incoming aircraft or something that might occur in a terminal building or an industrial area incident that might take place on the airfield itself. We're a encapsulation, if you will, of the Philadelphia Fire Department in general.
He's been on television a couple of times, hasn't he, buddy, since he's been here?
Only on the parade years. He wasn't here for he didn't do no commercials.
He's good with visitors, especially when children come to the station. He's very good with children. Sparky more or less, what our station's a watchdog here. He's here all the time. We go out, he stays, he's calm. He watches everything, and this location's very good too, with being in Center City.
Do you know the story of the Dalmatian?
Not the total story.
I don't know. I think there's a history.
I really don't know the history of it.
I don't really know, but I'm going to tell you the story that I was told.
The Dalmatian dog originally comes from Yugoslavia. It's the west coast of Yugoslavia. It's called Dalmatia.
And they were bred there, and the wolf was taken out of them, and they became great coach dogs.
As a result, they were used when we had the horses, and they ran ahead of the apparatus, barking like mad, opening up the traffic. And you wanted to call them, they're an animated siren.
In other words, it was never any other kind of dog. It was always the Dalmatian. The price was right. Somebody gave it. Hey, this is the fire department. You find somebody that knows, that's probably the answer.
The volunteerism is a dying breed, and we need the help.
Medic 1037, Bazaar of All Nations, main entrance, 1018, 1547.
I've always enjoyed being or watching fire trucks down the street when I was a kid. When I turned 16, it just seemed the thing to do, and it seemed natural for me to become a fireman. I like helping the community. I like the activity involved with firefighting. I like the whole fire protection aspect of the job. It's where I fit in. I think in the past, a lot of paid departments looked upon the volunteers as scabs, as inferiors to themselves. And depending on the volunteer department, sometimes that may have been warranted.
If we quit firefighting, then the borough that we're in, we would have to look elsewhere for firefighting protection. Would they hire full-time guys? I doubt it. It wouldn't. It would be so cost prohibitive.
0678 a fireboard.
7A.
When they go out and do their job as a firefighter, they're professionals. Although they don't get paid for it, they are professionals, and they act professionally.
If I'm at work and something comes in, I said, it depends on the call. Automatic alarm, leaf fire, a washdown, and minor calls, but they're all an emergency to somebody. But hopefully somebody else is available to answer them. If I'm with a client, if I'm trying to list a $2 million house, I'm not going to leave that customer. Most of the time, I'll turn the pager off.
These extra things that have to be done really do take some sort of a toll on my own personal life. I find that I don't see my wife and child as much as I maybe could if I weren't a volunteer fireman. But it's something my wife understands, and we get by on it. She understands what it means to me. Being a volunteer, I don't think many people are getting divorced because their husband, or their wives for that matter, are volunteer firefighters. I think what is lost is that person's activity in the fire department.
There has to be a give and take of when the alarm is sounded that you have to leave, and most of the time it's at the most inconvenient times. I remember a fire that happened on Christmas night, and I think they had 7 fire companies there, and they had 1 person or 2 people from each fire company. That's why they had so many fire companies. It was just but the house burned up. I mean, there was nobody answered the alarm, and you sort of, you have to go when you have to go. It's sort of give and take thing. I've known people that are ready to leave for vacations and end up spending the next 2 days of their vacation that they were supposed to be leaving for at an emergency scene that lasts for so long.
Many years ago when I was young, I used to work on the tugboats with my dad. And it's sort of, you know, boyhood dream, you know, come true.
This boat actually is a floating pumping station. We're a great water supply. You know, it's pretty hard to run out. You can see for yourself. Right now, it's used for training. Many fires along the river that we could handle, ship fires. We've already been asked by the Coast Guard for assistance in searching for bodies.
It's used a lot for water displays, for welcoming Navy ships that are coming in the Navy Yard for overhauls. It's also used for welcoming and wishing bon voyage to the several cruise ships that are being attracted to Philadelphia.
This is much more powerful than a fire truck. She'll pump about 6,000 gallons a minute.
If you put the engine in pump, it takes the water from the river through the pump and out the deck nozzles or wherever you want to put it.
We'll get a call from the dispatcher, and he'll dispatch a company, a land company here, and the land company will come on the boat as the crew. This boat you're on now, and there's another stationed on the Schuylkill. They were both built in 1950. They're getting old, you know, the boats. I know the fire department now is looking at different boats, different style boats that they think will fit in good here. The way the port's been changing from more condominiums going up and you're getting into residential, you know, instead of the old industrial ports that she used to be, you know. And I guess in time it'll be completely changed.
Engine 52, 5253 Frankfurt Avenue at Arby's. Okay, that's for unresponsive OT.
We found a young lady, 29-year-old female, unconscious and unresponsive on the bathroom floor with the needle still on her.
You think she appreciated it?
In all honesty, you know what she asked my partner? If he could give her a note so she wouldn't have to go to work this afternoon. No, she didn't appreciate it. Not one little bit.
Oh, Lord, oh, Lord, oh, Lord, oh, Lord, oh.
Laura, we're going to take you over to Frankfurt Hospital, all right?
No, 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 no.
Yes, Laura, you have to go, hon.
Good afternoon, Doctor. This is Rescue 2M, Platoon B as in Barney, paramedics Stasiak and Nazarok. We were called to the home of an 84-year-old female.
You okay?
Responsibility for the pre-hospital emergency medical care is the responsibility of the Philadelphia Fire Department through our emergency medical system. The paramedics currently in the Philadelphia Fire Department are firefighters who have matriculated through to the paramedics level. This is a 22-week course that the paramedics go through, a highly advanced medical training to allow them to perform their duties on the street as an extension of the medical doctor.
1, 2, 3. The reason I became a paramedic was for the challenge. We could be dispatched anywhere in the city, from south of us to north of us, east and west, from river to river. It doesn't matter. Wherever we're needed, they'll send us.
Oh, Lord, let me out.
The doctor's going to take good care of you, Laura.
We get every kind of call that you can imagine. Anytime somebody thinks somebody's sick, they'll call us. And it could be nothing to possible cardiac arrest.
The general community, sometimes they don't really understand the services that we can provide for them until they actually need us on the scene. Then they realize that these fellas, in their highly dedicated manner, are the difference between life and death.
5300 Germantown Avenue. Stewart, the following companies will respond.
It's a very stressful job. It's very high burnout rate. You can't separate yourself from a situation 100%. If you let it eat at you, then you're going to end up burned out very, very quickly.
3464 Fittler, Rescue 17, 3464 Fittler.
Most of our paramedics who strive to become those types of individuals have a high sense of care for people that need help.
Let me out, let me out. Help me out. Help me out, Lord, help me out. Help me out.
I didn't know you took the leads off on her.
Yeah, I did.
That's all right. Well, I'll just pull the
Help me out, Lord.
Okay. All right, Laura, take it easy.
Okay, Laura, you're all right.
Firefighters don't live that long. Not as long as the normal population. We don't live into the 70s as an average. We live into the 60s as an average. Firefighters die in fires, but I think that what kills them more than that are all the combinations of the stresses.
Who wants to peel potatoes? Who can peel potatoes? I'll do it. I'll try. Good man.
There's always a tension in the firehouse. No matter what is going on, there's stress that's there. It's underlying. It's very low key, but it's there. You never quite relax. You go from a cold stop to a real hot start, and you do it immediately. And you do it in the middle of the night or middle of the evening, it doesn't matter. When you sit down on the toilet to go to the bathroom, you don't know how things are going to turn out. You may not finish. You may get caught in the middle. You don't know what the hell is going to happen. It's a stress. By the time the firefighter puts everything on, by the time he puts all his gear on, puts his sky pack on, and his tool, he's got an extra 65 pounds or so. It wears you out right away. The heat, the weight, the stress. And you're in an environment that's totally hostile. It's like Venus, like the environment of Venus, you know? It's hot, it's wet with things that you don't see. And you breathe them in. 10 years later, bye-bye, you're dead. There's a lot of asbestosis on this job, both active and pension. Young guys that I came in with 14 years ago show signs of asbestosis to some degree or another. Heart problems. We just had one of our friends, a guy who was a co-worker for years and years and years out here, died at the age of 45 with heart problems. It's not... too many of them have heart problems. I gotta check my stew. Toxic fumes. Everything that's made anymore is loaded down with fibers and chemicals and compounds, plastics, and when you light it up, and you subject it to 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit, it becomes a totally different object. It becomes a time bomb for us.
Is it any good? Not bad, though. It'll make you hurt.
The stress of the job, the toxic chemicals, the asbestos, the heavy workload in a concentrated form, wearing all that gear, with all that heat, with all that smoke. You encounter chemicals that nobody understands. And it's an insidious form of death. You die 15 years later, and you die of this pulmonary disease or that heart disease. And nobody could ever trail the exact cause, but you get it here. You can really get hurt, mentally and physically. You come across a lot of pain. The dying, the families of the dying, the families of the dead.
We're breaking through years of tradition. The years of tradition indicating that firefighters don't feel. And if they do, they certainly don't talk about it.
I feel just kind of numb or something. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I guess you're aware. I don't know if you heard on the news where like 4 kids died in that fire tonight.
Yeah, we were briefed.
And I don't know. I'm just feeling bad about it. Like you know, maybe there was something that maybe we could have done.
I know you have 3 of your own, but you do go home. And you hear more and more guys, they'll never talk about it, but they will go home and walk right into that bedroom and look at their 3 in bed. Say, damn,
You know, 10 years on the job and I've never run into this. It's just never, always thought that, I don't know, maybe it was cold or unique or something like that. It was part of the job.
When you have stuck feelings, they're going to come out somehow. And it might be better if they come out talking to your kids than maybe batting one across the room because you have all this bottled up in you. And if you can remember they're going to come out somehow, then you might want to get them out where you'll feel good about it and you won't damage your family through it.
Well, I mean, what am I supposed to do? Tell them, I feel like I should have done more?
Not a blow-by-blow description.
Just that, you had a pretty heavy thing happen at work. And it's more or less just letting them know it's not them.
And working through it.
I may not be myself, but it certainly has nothing to do with you.
And your intentions were the best. You wanted to insulate and protect the family from what's going on. And in the meanwhile, we're not going to lose focus on you either. Right now, in this room, you have to be the most important person to you. Because right now you are to us.
Well, that's why I came. I thought you were the guys that know how to handle this, and like I said, I just didn't know where to turn.
You're in the right place.
Mm-hmm. Maybe talk a little bit about the job, and maybe we can help you through it. What did you do?
I've been chasing the fire engine since 1919. On 1919, Christmas Day, we had a fire in our house that took the whole roof off of it and burned out the attic. And since that time, I have a hatred of wooden shingles. That was a fire. Cold, high wind, heat generated by the fire formed a firestorm and pulled the air in. It's the only time at any fire I've ever been to I've heard it whistle like a banshee. The fire was caused by somebody leaving an electric hot plate plugged in on a wooden table. There was 50 engine companies. There was a total of 12 and a half alarms. But it was cold that night. Believe me, it was cold. So was the Normandy. I came up out of the subway area, 36 in Sansom. I looked up, the whole west side of the Normandy Hotel was just rolling up, smoke coming out all the way up 7 floors. I thought, Mother God will never get them out. They did. That's what the fire department calls a miracle of 36th Street. That fire, they tore the rubble apart for 3 days, looking to see if there was any bodies in it, and there wasn't anybody there. There was one man missing, and I'll swear that I saw him after the fire getting on a trolley car down in the subway. There was a 42-gallon drum labeled gasoline on the roof of that house. You know, it's funny. People don't realize how fast a little gasoline, I mean, you don't need a gallon, and you can burn a 3-story house out like that. That place there, when it went, oh boy. When they kicked that explosive device off, I saw that thing light up. I thought, we're in real trouble. And we were in trouble.
How did that affect the morale of the fire department?
I think it really had a negative effect on the fire department for a long time, and it's probably something that's going to take a long time to purge out of our system. You have to understand, we've always been very responsive to the community. We're very action-oriented. When there's a problem, we get right in and handle the problem, whatever the emergency may be. In that situation, because of the circumstances, we weren't permitted to do that until it was well beyond our control. And we took a lot of negative comments in the press. There was some hurt. There was some satisfaction in handling this huge fire, and to be called in under tremendous odds to confine it to where we did, even though they still lost 61 houses, and unfortunately the lives that were lost out there. But there was some satisfaction with the people who were on the scene. But the other people that weren't on the scene just couldn't relate to what happened out there. It was just a totally different kind of a situation for firefighters.
This station here, we're considered about a middle-of-the-road company. We're not on the real busy end, and we're not on the real slow end. We're somewhere in the middle.
Attention, Sport 8, Delaware Spring Garden Rubbish. Sport 8, Delaware Spring Garden Rubbish.
The engine company runs about 1,300 runs a year, and the ladder company about 1,100 runs. We stress in the fire department, we're probably no more than 3 or 4 minutes from 99% of the calls we ever make. Well, we try to speed up our response in this station. We don't try to make it up on the street. Once you get out on the street, it's impossible to make it up because you could create a hazard in itself.
People think that when firemen, you go to a fire, you just blow right through the intersections and lights and stuff like that there, and that's not true. That's not true at all. When you come to an intersection, there's a light, you have to stop. And even if you come into an intersection with a green light, you still have to have your foot over the brake because you got guys that'll still shoot right through. You can't put the fire out unless you get there.
had a malfunctioning alarm at this location. We investigated, it was found to be nothing.
When you jump in the truck and you start moving, does your heart pound?
Absolutely.
Tell me about it.
The adrenaline starts flowing because you never know what you're going to have when you go out. I'm kind of happy we have alarm systems because they're nothing. We just go back to the station, and it's when you pull around the corner and you have the fire that you worry.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
You used to say you were going to be a ballerina.
But I'll try to be one.
But you can be whatever you want to be.
Mom, where am I going to me and stuff that I'll be?
No, it doesn't matter what a grown-up tells you. A lot of people tend to view it that way. Well, it's a male-oriented job. The only one who would go out for this type of position would be someone who wanted to prove that she was as good as the guy. But it wasn't my motivation at all. You know, it was basically to help my family. Okay, anybody for stuffing? A lot of what I do takes a lot of faith because, as you said, you know, to have a job, working full-time, having a house full of kids, especially having the job I do, which a lot of people, oh, that's such a dangerous job, how can you do that? If it weren't for the faith that I had, I don't think I would be able, and the graces that God gives me to carry on. I think having been in the Army, you know, having been in a situation before where I was one of very few women, has helped a lot. Going through the academy, I had one of the instructors tell me that there's a certain evolution that we had to do. It was called playing a flexible hose pipe. And what you'd have to do is, it's a very heavy piece of equipment that you have to put over your shoulder, attached to a hose line, climb up a ladder to the third story of a 5-story building, and then play a stream. Well, one of the instructors told me that I was able to do it better than 95% of the guys he had seen so far. Not because of my physical strength, but because I followed technique.
From an intellectual point of view, there's no problem. Women are definitely capable in that area, so really it boils down to being physically able, and if they meet that standard, there's no reason why not.
In the beginning, I don't think it was so much of the joking. This is a different company than what I'm in now. But it was the fact that, hey, you know, you're the second woman ever hired by the department. You're going into a place where many, many years ago, women were not even allowed in the front door. Now, all of a sudden, these guys are supposed to accept you as a co-worker. The experience I had at my first company, one guy was very warm and friendly and very helpful. The other guys kind of laid back and waited. I mean, they weren't unfriendly. You know, they would say hello, and they wouldn't vacate the room as I walked in, but you could tell that there was still a doubt. After my first major fire, the oncoming platoon had already heard I had done all right, so I got a round of applause from the guys, and they had a station jacket waiting to give me. The guy who had been so warm suddenly got cold, started barking orders. From then on, I couldn't get to the apparatus quick enough for him. He was the driver. It just seemed like everything was wrong as far as he was concerned.
It is different around the firehouse, no two ways about it. Certainly the language, probably some of the humor gets cleaned up quite a bit.
Usually, I guess the Playboy magazines were laying all over the place, you know, but when I first got to the station, I was looking for some scratch paper at the watch desk, and there they were hidden in the bottom of the drawer.
Of course, there are slips. I mean, it's pretty hard not, but for the most part, everybody kind of watches it.
That's the Poconos?
Firefighters are very fraternal
Now, wait a minute.
people. As far as firefighter Cubby, she will be razzed a little bit. You can't be very thin-skinned in the firehouse, and women in the firehouse become part of that fraternity.
After work, I think I owe you one for today. My kids love it. They think it's great because it's unique. They know I'm crazy anyway, so this is just one more stroll, you know, along the line of life, I guess.
That's the way them getting me back.
Who are they? I mean, are they from
Jamaicans. And they call themselves getting even with me, so they firebomb my house.
Well, drugs right now, the way they hit the city, you can run a drug lab or a meth lab out of almost any kind of location. I mean,
We was selling like a grand package, $1,000 package worth of dime powder can. We would only get $350 a week.
That's cocaine.
No, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. We get $350 at the end of that week.
When you got a lot of widespread floor damage, that tells you something about the fire. We got a lot of widespread floor damage here, so we're digging it up. You always want to get down to your lowest point where you have any heavy fire. And basically that's where you're going to get most of your information on the floor. So we work at clearing it off as much as we can and matching it up against the furniture that was here, and that tells us something. In this case, I think I got a suspicious fire, so I'll process it that way. Wood absorbs stuff, so, or liquid, so we're looking for, hoping we get a positive area. Got a lot of floor char here.
He got me in the head. I fell downward.
Well, you want to know where the furniture was against the walls, where it was around the room. Furniture changes your fire patterns. Basically, the term of that job already was incendiary or arson. We'll notify the police and in turn the detective division, who will do a further investigation.
I ain't going through this no more. It's a straight up job. You know, drugs and crime, it just don't pay.
There's about 7 or 8 basic motives, it's called, for setting a fire. Like you're talking anywhere from passion, greed, arson for profit, revenge, conceal a crime.
When the fire marshal makes the determination it's an arson for profit, or an arson, excuse me, there are indications. You then need to proceed and find witnesses. You talk to neighbors. A habitual fire setter is, they're doing it either for the thrill or the compulsion, but it's the excitement or whatever the motivation is at the time that drives them, and they don't consider the consequences until after the fact. One young man told me that he set a fire in an apartment building, and that when he got across the street and was watching it and saw how quick the fire had spread, then he became scared.
Couple undercover cops in the corner when the suspect threw a Molotov cocktail.
You find a device, or?
No. There's a Prestone can inside melted.
Okay, great. Cars get stolen for all kinds of reasons and burned. You either burn it usually to conceal your stripping of the car, whoever stole it, or you burn the car for insurance purposes. It's easy when you got an eyewitness that tells you exactly where it was thrown from, and then all you got to do is look for your patterns and find it. I will go up to the East Detectives now, and we turn our information over to the police, tell them that we have recovered the device, and we'll turn it over to the crime lab for vapor analysis.
Arson crime probably affects a community more so than any other crime, because you burn out a corner store, you now have an abandoned store, you now have the neighborhood beginning to deteriorate.
Not that so much that I love fires. Firemen love to put out fires. It's a challenge. It's a great challenge. It's almost sexual in some ways.
People think we walk through fires. It don't happen. You know, there's a lot of beating. You get in a job where there's people trapped, you have to crawl. You're crawling, you're searching closets, you're searching bathrooms, you're searching anywhere where people can possibly crawl to hide, because that's what they do, including adults. So, it's like I say, I believe in doing this. If the Red Devil gets on my butt, and there's a little kid trapped in there somewhere, and I gotta go a little bit stronger, if this is my medicine, this is where I'll stay right here.
And let's face it, we're not like the movie guys. We're just normal, average guys. I mean, in the movies, they show all these stunts and guys flying through windows on fire. I mean, nobody wants to do that. That's all choreographed and all. We're just normal guys out there trying to make a buck. It's tough. It's tough, and believe me, if it wasn't for the guys you work with a lot, you wouldn't go in.
If I died tomorrow and came back, I'd want to be a fireman.
Why?
Why? Because I like it. I'm being a part of something. I like helping people. Myself, personally.
I like hanging out with the boys.
Yeah, that's it. That's all I know.
Suburban Cable TV is proud to join you in supporting